So, good morning. As I said, I'm pleased to be able to greet you all this morning after a weekend when lots of people did or saw amazing things. Firstly, I really must thank everyone who made open evening, or should that be open afternoon, a huge success. Feedback from our visitors was very, very positive. So let's give everyone who helped a cheer and a round of applause. Well done, everyone. I'd like to give special thanks to the sixth form who organised the tour guides in a very professional way. So on to the weekend. I was actually woken up very early on Saturday morning by my son, who rang us via WhatsApp to show us that my grandson Noah, who's now 8.5 months old, was crawling for the first time. Not sure when I'll see him again, as he lives 100 miles away and I need to conserve my petrol so I can come to school. But that was a nice greeting, even if it was a little bit early. And there's Noah trying to escape out of the lounge. Not quite the best quality photo, but I think you get the idea. So on to other photos. Mr. Craddock and I often talk about things we see in the sky at night. The International Space Station is currently flying over us in the evening. And tonight, if you're interested, it will be visible at 8:10 for about 5 minutes. And it appears 10 degrees above west and disappears 10 degrees above south. Tomorrow it will be visible for 6 minutes, appearing in a similar direction. I have some photos of it, but the one I want to show you at the moment is Jupiter. And that was taken with my phone in the garden. You can just about see Jupiter there. Taken late one evening when I took Ebony, my corgi, out in the garden for her last outing of the day. Not very impressive perhaps, but interesting. And did you know that Jupiter is the largest planet, 318 times more massive than Earth? It has 79 moons and is the fastest spinning planet in the solar system. Actually, if you're lucky, you can also see Saturn next to it. So Mr. Gibson sent me 3 lovely photos, which he took over the weekend. The first 2 show lichens, which are biological indicators and only grow well in areas of low air pollution. He took these in the New Forest. The third photo he sent is a type of gall that you can see on the underside of oak leaves. They are silk button galls, which house the eggs of a gall wasp. I'll attempt the name, Mr. Gibson. Neuroterus numismalis, something like that anyway. That's practicing my Latin. The eggs develop and continue to grow even after the leaf has dropped off the tree. And the wasp then emerges from the gall between February and April. Now we have a short clip taken by one of Mrs. Holloway's friends, which shows red kites. She looked up and there they were. Wow, what a sight. The last photo moves away from the science lesson a little bit. It was sent to me by Mrs. Chaplio and shows Marcel Hug from Switzerland, the London Marathon wheelchair winner, who completed the 26.2 miles in a record 1 hour, 26 minutes and 27 seconds. Mrs. Chaplio ran the virtual London Marathon last year, and this year ran the Brighton Marathon 3 weeks ago. She was up in London yesterday supporting a friend who was running and managed to get a good place to watch all the finishers. Now I'm going to hand over to Mr. Jewell.
Good morning, everybody. I hope we're well. I was asked today to deliver assembly to you. So naturally, I started searching for a topic, for a theme. I started with the idea of coffee. And I thought genuinely you were going to get an assembly of me brewing a coffee in front of you and talking you through the different origins and the different flavor notes, until my wife said that was a truly terrible idea. So maybe that one in the future. I then thought about key dates, and I thought yesterday was German Reunification Day for the history buffs amongst you, and October itself is Black History Month. And I realized that all the searches that I was making had one thing in common, and that was, what am I passionate about? Coffee, definitely, just walk anywhere past my classroom, you'll smell it. History and equality. But why? Why am I passionate about these things? And I thought I'd have a little think about that. So I Googled passion, and the definition that came up was a strong and barely controllable emotion. Now, when you're at school and when you're a teenager, it's all about finding your passion, finding your strong and barely controllable emotions. It's very easy to get distracted in the day-to-day by tests, by grades, by friendships, the latest drama, by homework. But it's at school where you discover who you are and what drives you, what your passions are. At school, I did pretty well. But what's more important than the grades I got was what I discovered about myself, who I was, what I loved. Mr. Simmons taught me to love other cultures and communities. Mrs. Shelley taught me to think and question and stand up for equality. And now it's no surprise that they were both my RS teachers. And whilst I did pretty well in RS, I got an A star, bit of a humble brag. What's more important than that to me was the fact that I am now so passionate about sharing community, sharing cultures, and searching for equality. I want to share with you a brief clip from somebody called Maggie, Adair in Pocock, where she explains what she's passionate about.
My name is Dr. Maggie Adair in Pocock, and I'm a space scientist and a science communicator, and that means I put things into space. When I first went to school, I didn't enjoy it very much, because when you're young, it's all about reading and writing. And I suffer from dyslexia, which means that my spelling and when I try and put words together, it didn't really work for me. But I think there was actually a turning point in my life, and it happened to me when I was 8 years old. I was in the library at school and I saw a book, and the book had an astronaut on the cover, and I thought, wow, that's what I want to do. I want to go into space. As a child, I was one of those really annoying kids that asked why all the time. Why this and why that? And that's what it is to be a scientist, is to be inquisitive. If you want to be a space scientist, there are many different ways of getting in there. For instance, I went to university. I did a degree in physics and a PhD in mechanical engineering. So I was at university for 7 years. But you don't have to study that long. I know many people who leave school and then take up an apprenticeship. So they come and work in the space industry straight away and start building things and putting them into space. Sometimes when I meet people for the first time and tell them I'm a space scientist, they look really surprised, because I'm not quite what they expect a space scientist to look like. They expect someone who looks very serious and is usually white and male, and you can tell that that's just not me. But being a scientist isn't about being white and male or being serious. It's about having a passion for something, a passion for understanding. As a space scientist, I've specialised my work into certain areas. Optical instrumentation, so that is building machines that look at things and give us an understanding of things by taking images. Some of the projects I work on are making a real difference to us here on Earth. For instance, I was building a satellite which told us more about climate change. Now, climate change is probably the biggest challenge we're facing in our lives, and satellites are really helping us to understand it. So space isn't just about out there, it's also about looking in and understanding our own planet. If I could travel back in time and go and see little Maggie growing up, I'd tell her to believe in herself. Because when you believe in yourself, you can achieve so much. And it's worked for me. So if I can do that, what can you do?
I love the idea about if I could go back in time, what would I tell myself? If I could go back to teenage Mr. Jewell, I'd tell him lots. I'd probably tell him to cut the mullet off and to stop wearing hairbands when he's playing football, because it's not a good look. But I'd also tell him that actually there is so much more to be thinking about in 20 years time, in 30 years time. You're going to be married, you're going to have kids, you're going to be doing things day to day, which right now you can only dream of. Everyone's got a passion and everyone's driven by something. And it's really important that whilst you're here, you remember to explore that. Maggie Adair in Pocock said that her passion was ignited by seeing the front cover of a book, not by something from a lesson. We've got opportunities here at Talbot Heath through sport, through guest speakers, through trips, through Amnesty Club, through the sixth form committee. Or if there's not something there that you are able to do at the moment, maybe you could start something. We don't have a stargazing club, do we? But Mr. Craddock, Miss Stone are obviously keen stargazers. So maybe you can get involved with that. If I teach you, you may well have heard me say that the most important things in my lessons is that you are interesting and interested. So what I want you to do is spend some time today thinking about what drives you, about who you want to be, and about how you can be interesting and interested, and how actually what you're doing right now echoes well beyond the next lesson or the next day or the next exam and well into the future. Who do you want to be in 20 years' time? If you could go back in time and talk to yourself now, what do you want to be saying to that person? So over to Reverend Burke for the prayer. I've always wanted to say this. Are you there, Jonathan?
I am indeed, Mr. Jewell. Good to see you. And I could use somebody else's prayer this morning, but I think it, although it's been around a long time, it was written in the 13th century, it touches on a lot of the things that we've thought about this morning. It comes from St. Francis because it's his special day today. And part of what he wrote is this: Most high, all powerful, good Lord, to you be praise, glory, and all blessing. May you be praised, my Lord, with all your creatures, especially brother sun, through whom you lighten the day for us. Be praised, my Lord, for sister moon and the stars, clear and precious and lovely. They are formed in heaven. Be praised, my Lord, for brother wind, for air and clouds, clear skies and all weathers, by which you give sustenance to your creatures. Be praised, my Lord, for sister water, who is very useful and humble and precious and pure. Be praised, my Lord, for our sister Mother Earth, who sustains and governs us and produces diverse fruits and coloured flowers and grass. Be praised, my Lord, by all those who forgive for love of you and all who bear weakness and tribulation. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Burke, and thank you, Mr. Jewell. It seems to have been quite a sciencey assembly today. So don't forget, everyone, 8:10 tonight, the International Space Station will be going over. And just before we finish, I have one notice. Tomorrow, it's the sixth form open evening, and I hope to see lots of Upper Five coming along to discuss A-level courses with staff. So I hope you all have a great week. Take care. Let's hope the sun comes out and shines a little bit more than it did over the weekend. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.